welcome back to the weekly-ish intuitive guidance for the collective. And I hope you're doing really well and you're ready for some magic. So let's begin. Let's take a little quiet moment together. You're welcome to close your eyes with me and take a deep breath. Let me just settle in. I'm gonna ring one of my ritual bells to cleanse the space and open the container and just bring a little sparkle into the circle. Okay. And then I'm going to use this cosmic pendulum. With extra yummy magenta petals. One of my favorite colors. And yeah, let's dive right in. Okay. So the first word I'm hearing is clarity, and I'm getting a very specific type of clarity. So it's not clarity in every area of your life ever. It's personal clarity. It's really clarifying who you really are and what your values are and what do you love. And maybe even who do you love. But a lot of times those kind of clarifying internal processing kind of reveal to you really who do you really love and kind of strengthen that feeling. So I'm getting it's a good time to create some space and time for meditative deep dives into really understanding yourself yet again. So perhaps you have changed, perhaps circumstances around you have changed, perhaps people around you have changed, or your work opportunities, or your creative projects, or the weather, everything maybe at once. And it's a really good moment right now to take, and it's always a good practice to kind of have this happen at certain increments, or spontaneously when things are really moving fast. But it's a really good moment right now. I'm getting to take some time for yourself to do whatever it is you do, whatever is your method of coming back to your center and checking in again with yourself. What do you love? Who do you love? What's important to you? What values of yours are core values? What values of yours maybe can use a little tweaking, a little updating, little checking in and understanding more about. For example, you can have some really wonderful values like compassion. And, I kind of always say in my personal life and in my professional life, it always comes back to compassion, right? Especially starting with yourself, it's compassion for yourself. But so a lot of times even personally, when I have kind of moments of confusion and then get to the bottom of whatever it is, it usually comes back to having more compassion for myself and or for others in some way. So let's say that's a value that you hold and you feel like, well, why would I need to reassess that? Why would I need to update that? But I'm kind of getting the quality of compassion can vary with greater sense of wisdom in your life, with experiences, with understanding how messy humanity can be, or maybe how complicated a situation can be, or maybe some nuanced things even about yourself, and understanding what compassion means to you right now, today. Perhaps it's more nuanced, perhaps it's more all-encompassing, perhaps it's now involves being compassionate to yourself before being compassionate to others about something. So you can maybe make a new practice of understanding that you need to first give yourself something, and then you can actually maybe really be there for somebody in a situation that until that moment hurt you, or perhaps you took personally, or perhaps was personal, and then you have something to give because you actually didn't just step into the fire, but you took a moment to understand, well, what do I need? How do I need to process this life change or life situation or relationship shift or weather change? So that can be a good example for a value update. So how does it function in your life? How do you show up for it? And what does it mean now? What does the modern version of compassion mean for you? And as the values you have as well, maybe it's consistency, maybe it's maybe you value cheer, maybe you value ability to be optimistic, and just updating those things, or even checking in and seeing, hey, this actually is great. I'm really on top of this and I'm really living this value and actually 100% stand by the version of it that I carries through life, that's also wonderful. It can be a wonderful confirmation of who you really are, and can really help in tumultuous times, especially. Be that collective tumultuousness, interpersonal tumultuousness, internal kind of wondering of who you are, what you're doing, what's happening in your world. All of these things can benefit from that, some time to yourself where you just check in with who you really are and centering. And so again, your practice might look very different from another person's of how you get there. I'm getting you probably already know what you need to do that. So for example, one of the things I do when I need to take time like this for myself, I just don't go online for a day. I just don't check my phone, except I use it for meditations and music, but I don't check anything else. I just take a time out, because I find that to be focusing on who I am in the moment and what I actually think and what I even need to think about. And it's not something you need to do all the time. We're not trying to, most of us, not trying to live in monastery. We're trying to participate in the daily life, and that's wonderful. That's a wonderful choice. That doesn't mean we cannot have a moment of deep examination and rechecking with yourself about who we really are, what matters to us, and then kind of gently seeing what in our life does or does not match that. Especially daily practices. Other daily practices that no longer match who you really are, and perhaps it's time to reassess and kind of find a solution of, well, how do I interact with that from now on? Is there a way I can update this daily practice to reflect my new version of my value? And that can be a very, very practical process, actually. So you can kind of play with that. Once you do your deep dive and recentering and checking in, then you can play with ideas, especially daily practices, because as my best friend's mom says, what you do every day is your life. And it sounds very obvious and simplistic, but reality is a lot of times you have this overarching ideas of what our life is and who we are and what our lifestyle is like, but really most of your common day, what it looks like, is pretty much most of your life, right? And so tweaking that can be the most effective. And if every day you engage in some behavior that is not aligned with your deep values, then actually you're slowly but surely veering away from your deep values, and that could feel really uncomfortable in the bad way long term, because you're going to be keep on stepping away from who you really are, and you're going to be creating your life from a different place than your deep value. So that's okay. We have a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There are a lot of distractions, internal and external. But it's good to remember, kind of come back to your center, take quiet moment, stop listening to everyone and everything else, and check your own map, and get your own compass out and decide, is this where I want to head? And what does it look like day to day? What kind of daily course do I need to maintain to keep heading there? And also in a way to keep being where I am, right? So you want to keep moving towards fulfillment of those deep values, but you also want to feel like you're already living them. And it's a bit of a balance there. So anyway, that's all I got for now, and hopefully this resonated and was helpful, and you can find it useful in the practical way as well. I always love when guidance is both philosophically interesting but also can be applied in a very tangible, functional ways. So hopefully this meets that criteria for you, and you're able to make it something that is part of your life. And so, yeah, thank you so much for coming here today, and until we meet again, hopefully in a week or so. Lots of love. Here's our little closing bell, and until we connect.